Welcome back. Now on Talk of the Nation, news arriving from Arusha indicates that plans to integrate Somalia into the East African community have taken on more urgency. Now, according to informed sources in Arusha, Somalia's accession to the community could be approved by the end of year. Now, to help us understand this more, we do have RONEX KISEMBO, an aspirant for the East Africa Legislative Assembly. Good evening, sir, and welcome to Talk of the Nation.
Good evening.
Thank you for joining us. Well, some have suggested that Somalia is not ready and that many Ugandans have actually lost their lives trying to pacify the country and nothing has been achieved. Will joining the East African community make any difference?
Well, I think it's a welcome idea. Having Somalia joining us is a welcome idea for quite a number of reasons. First of all, we need to appreciate that having Somalia joining the community has an advantage on the strategic security aspect, for starters. The region up to now has been grappling with the question of terrorism, and we need to appreciate our guarantee sons, the men and women in uniform, the UPDF, the KDF from Kenya, the Burundi Defense Forces, of course Djibouti and Ethiopia, the troops contributing countries that have done quite a lot to ensure that there is prevalence of peace in Somalia. Somalia joining us, away from the security perspective, is also a welcome idea when it comes to widening the market in our region. You see, when we talk of region integration, we are looking at the advantages that are associated with a wider market in which to trade. Currently, the region has a population of close to 300 million people. So when we have Somalia on board, basically we are widening the market within which we can be able to trade. Then the other thing, of course, that we stand to benefit by Somalia joining the community is the question of a wider voice when it comes to the bargaining power at international level. You see, Uganda can negotiate on the international platform. Kenya can negotiate on their own. But when we join together, we stand a better chance. Then, of course, let's look at the question of infrastructure development projects. And with regional integration, we are guaranteed that these are things that will be achieved.
Okay. Now, this comes at a time when some are not in agreement with Somalia's bid. Reason being, they're saying that the newly added members into the EAC are not bringing enough to the table. Now we look at Somalia's population that has about 6 million, and looking at also the economy, do you think, or what do you think Somalia is bringing to the table when they join the East African community?
I think, first of all, there is an issue to do with the treaty for the establishment of the EAC. Yes, those who are not welcoming, or those who don't feel that it's the right time for Somalia to join us, like they talked when South Sudan and the DRC were being invited to join the community, is that, so like you have a neighbor, for you, you are well off to do, and your neighbor isn't doing well, and you're like, no, it's not worth associating with that neighbor. But anything, if you don't have him close, and you don't help out, that means whatever affects the neighbor directly or indirectly will affect you. That's why I talked of the strategic security aspect. Now, what I wanted to say about the treaty provision is that most people need to appreciate that when we talk of our region as integration, at no point will all EAC partner states stand to benefit the same from the community. Countries have strategic interests, and we are also gifted by nature differently. We have Kenya and Tanzania and Somalia that have seaports. This side, Uganda, Rwanda, Burundi, South Sudan, these are landlocked countries. All our import and export trade are handled by those two ports, basically. So at no point shall we benefit the same. But why you find it challenging more so these days is that we look at the issue of subscription when it comes to membership in the community. When you subject a country like Burundi and South Sudan to pay the same amount of subscription as that of Kenya, Uganda and Tanzania, when their GDPs are totally different, it's a challenge. That's why you have members that fail to pay, and it's like we are attracting more problems as opposed to integrating, and then you enjoy what I shared earlier, a wider market, strategic security, enhancing our security, infrastructure projects. So let's take another example of DRC, for example. As we speak now, UPDF, you are aware that are busy, the engineering brigade, are busy constructing roads in the DRC, the eastern part of DRC. Now, if DRC had joined us, for example, 10, 15 years ago, what do you think would have happened in terms of infrastructure penetration in the DRC? Even the question of those rebels would have been addressed to a greater extent. That's why there is need for the East African Standby Force, which would be able to address the issue of security in our region.
Well, you talked about the DRC. How would you rate their progress so far from the time they joined the EAC, the East African Community? I
think it might be too early to judge them. Currently, they are hardly 2-3 months ever since they joined the community, and there is quite a lot. As new members who have just joined us, we need to first of all appreciate what the community, the family they joined, and then looking at the immediate challenge we faced. When they joined, the time they joined the community, that's when there were those issues of the M23 and the challenge we had between them and the Republic of Rwanda. You see, as new members, it might be too early for us to say what have they brought on board currently. But of course, with the market, already Uganda Airlines is flying to Kinshasa. Ugandan businessmen and women have already started taking advantage. Those from Kenya, Equity Bank, KCB, Kenya Airways, Uganda Airlines, different, even Tanzania. Air Tanzania is flying to Lubumbashi, Kenya Airways flies to Kinshasa, Uganda Airlines flies there. So there is already business happening. You see, the whole idea of region integration, the best thing to look at, one is strategic security, number two, trade. And then once we allow free movement of people, goods and services, then the other things will fall into place.
And also looking at all the countries are, well geographically situated. So I mean, it could favor trade. But I would like you to talk to us about the monetary plan that seeks to see that the region uses one currency. Do you think this is something very effective when we talk about trade?
Well, the Monetary Union Protocol as the third pillar of that as stipulated in the treaty for the establishment of the EAC seeks to have the East African community use a single currency. The roadmap is projected by the year 2024 that the region would have a single currency. All partner states may not be able to meet the macroeconomic criteria that was set, but if Uganda, for example, or Kenya and Tanzania, or if Uganda, Rwanda, and South Sudan, either three of the countries that can meet the set standards, yes, then we can be able to usher in a single currency.
Then what happens to those that are not ready?
They have to work on they have to work onto the set standards. Once they achieve them, then they will be able to be reviewed, evaluated, and also allowed to start using it.
All right, so we understand that the East African Legislative Assembly is becoming more and more influential in the regional affairs, with, of course, this term ending soon. Where do you see the progress of the next session?
Well, we need to begin by appreciating the work that has been done by the Fourth Assembly, whose term will be ending in December this year. They've done quite a lot in terms of legislations and setting up rules and to govern the implementation of the treaty. What we need to look at currently as we go into the Fifth Assembly, we need to basically focus onto the domestication of the integration agenda. A lot of work, a lot of effort has been put in, but that is still at the secretariat level. We need now to have the Fifth Assembly and other stakeholders focusing a lot of their energies on bringing that information from the community, from the secretariat down to the community. An ordinary citizen in Ikabari, an ordinary citizen in Busia, and in Namanga needs to understand first of all, what is this whole thing of regional integration about? How do I stand to benefit from it? What are the benefits associated with it? Once they get to know that, then we will have them come out to support the efforts. But currently, this is a big challenge. Issues of the regional integration are not brought closer to the wananchi. Speaking
about the challenges, you are one of those seeking to join the House in Arusha. So what challenges do you want the IALA, to address with this new cohort or with the new members that are going to be joining?
Like I've just said, we need to focus on popularizing the integration agenda. It's a big challenge. It's until ordinary citizens get to appreciate the journey and why our leaders trying to see that we join efforts to become a bloc. Yes.
Oh, well, and finally, as you give us your closing remarks, where do you see or which direction do you see the region heading?
Well, the whole idea, first of all, is a welcome idea, the idea of regional integration.
As you wrap up.
Yes, efforts to fast track a political federation never yielded fruits in the first attempt. As we speak now, there are efforts to see that we can have a political federation in place, because that helps us to guide, to give leadership. Once we have a political federation in place, then the common market protocol, the customs union, and the monetary union protocol will come into place.
Thank you, RONEX KISEMBO, an aspirant for the East Africa Legislative Assembly.
Thank you.